I genuinely think he took way too much punishment, and that's. I mean, that was so severe. If I were him, I'd never fight again.
Yeah, look, I thought I'd done enough to win the fight. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't as clear cut as I'd initially wanted it to be, but I definitely thought I'd done enough.
Fabio Wardley finally breaks his silence with visible emotion after shockingly announcing his retirement, revealing that the aftermath of the defeat has left him battling both mental pressure and serious financial struggles. He confesses that deep down he believed he had done enough to win the fight, but the final decision turned everything upside down and pushed him into an uncertain situation. Wardley's voice carries frustration, regret, and disbelief as he struggles to accept the painful loss and the sudden choice to walk away from boxing before many expected.
Sometimes in fights and stuff, it can sway the judge's opinion of where they think the fight's going and how it's going out and stuff. And there's little annoyances as well, blood going in my eye and in my mouth and stuff like that. So,
thought Wardley showed his limitations and his lack of pedigree, and he was very crude with that right hand over the right hand attack. But he showed so much heart and guts and desire. He just kept going for it. He was never going to quit, was he? He was never going to turn around and fold or take a knee and quit in there.
Fabio Wardley looks back on his journey with pride mixed with deep exhaustion after the crushing setback that changed everything. He makes it clear that while the victories and achievements he earned will always define his legacy, he no longer wants to keep surviving brutal wars inside the ring again and again. Beneath his words there is growing frustration, pain, and emotional fatigue, as the savage reality of boxing finally begins catching up to him after the recent defeat that pushed him closer to his limit.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's great to have that part of my history now, part of my legacy, but I'm not trying to do it too many times over.
Eddie Hearn delivers a brutally honest reflection on Fabio Wardley's mindset before the fight and the shocking retirement announcement that followed. While praising Wardley as a loyal warrior who gave everything to boxing, Hearn also reveals something deeply concerning that stood out during fight week: a visible lack of confidence, energy, and belief. Comments like that from a promoter rarely come without warning signs, making the situation feel far more serious behind the scenes. Hearn even questions the matchmaking itself, suggesting the timing and opponent may have been completely wrong, a statement that now carries even heavier meaning after Wardley's sudden decision to walk away from the sport.
Of him, how good of a servant has he been to boxing?
He's a great guy. I just felt this week, I've been around him a lot of fight weeks, I just didn't feel any kind of confidence or buzz. And I think when I heard that this fight was getting made, I thought, that's a strange fight for him.
Frank Warren speaks with clear concern while reacting to Fabio Wardley's retirement comments, carefully trying to stay positive about what could still lie ahead for him. Warren avoids pressuring him toward any decision, yet there is an unmistakable feeling that he hopes these words are coming from emotion rather than a final goodbye. At the same time, he reminds everyone that Wardley has already given fans unforgettable battles and earned real respect through his contribution to British boxing. Even so, beneath Warren's calm tone, the uncertainty surrounding Wardley's future feels impossible to ignore after everything that has unfolded.
Well, I hope that's not going to be the case for him, and if he carries on, we certainly would be looking to help him in that way. But look, he's been involved in some of the.
Dominic Ingle delivers a brutally direct breakdown, warning that Fabio Wardley's body may have already absorbed too much punishment to continue competing at elite level. Although Ingle praises Wardley's rise, toughness, and improvement through the years, he questions whether there is enough time left in his career to fully repair the technical flaws that still leave him vulnerable in dangerous fights. His biggest concern is not simply the recent defeat, but the long-term damage that could follow if these brutal battles continue. Ingle's words make the situation feel far more serious, suggesting this is no longer about talent or heart, but about survival and whether boxing remains safe for Wardley moving forward.
Difference, fighting a world champion, a legitimate world champion for a title, and beating a world champion who's already a world champion. And Fabio Wardley hasn't beat a current world champion to be the champion, has he?
Josie Parker's been a champion.
Yeah, but he wasn't the champion, no. Right. So
Derek Chisora delivers a harsh and emotional reaction to Fabio Wardley's performance, brutally exposing the technical flaws he believes were impossible to ignore during the fight. Chisora criticizes the lack of basic fundamentals like a consistent jab, movement, and a proper structure behind the attack, suggesting Wardley depended far too heavily on raw aggression and desperation instead of controlled boxing. The anger and frustration in his words reflect just how vulnerable Fabio appeared in key moments, especially against a calmer and far more experienced opponent who stayed composed, capitalized on every opening, and punished nearly every mistake without hesitation.
Fabio was not ready for boxing. You don't jab nothing, looking for power shots. It's like he didn't train. He was dude busy commentating. Little bastard. He was supposed to fucking train in the gym. Dude, how many jabs did Fabio chuck? Last jab, he didn't chuck no jab. He didn't do anything we've seen before.
Karl Froch breaks the situation down with a balance of respect and sharp criticism, arguing that Fabio Wardley failed to use the boxing skills and experience he has spent years developing. While Froch praises the career Wardley has built and the toughness he continues to show, he also points to moments of naivety and poor decision-making that proved costly under pressure. According to Froch, those mistakes allowed the fight to spiral out of control at key stages when composure and discipline were needed most. Still, he stops short of calling it the end, suggesting there may still be a path back if Wardley learns from the defeat, fixes the flaws exposed in the ring, and evolves into a smarter, more complete fighter.
Wardley neglected all of his little bit of boxing skill, what he's learned over the white collar and through the fights that he's been involved in. I mean, he's had a fantastic career, and I don't think this is the end of Fabio Wardley at all. But he showed that he's a bit naive and a bit green. Like I said, his attacks were very crude. I don't know what Ben Davison should have been telling him. Stop throwing that overhand right from out of range. He's looking for the knockout punch. He's not even got his feet in range.
Karl Froch gives a sharp breakdown filled with both respect and criticism, claiming Fabio Wardley abandoned the boxing skills he has worked hard to build throughout his career. While Froch acknowledges the success, toughness, and reputation Wardley has earned over the years, he also points to moments of naivety and inexperience that completely changed the direction of the fight under pressure. According to Froch, those costly mistakes exposed weaknesses that a smarter and more composed opponent was always going to punish at elite level. Despite the criticism, Froch does not completely close the door on Wardley's future, hinting that this may not be the end if he can learn from the defeat, fix the flaws, and return as a more disciplined and evolved fighter.
Fabio Wardley has got a heart as big as a bucket, and some of the punches he took last night, he may not come back from, because he was taking right hands, he was eating them so flush. It was quite brutal to watch at times. I've actually felt sorry for Fabio.
Barry McGuigan does not hold back as he delivers a deeply serious warning about Fabio Wardley's future in boxing after the brutal punishment he absorbed. McGuigan repeatedly returns to the damage Wardley took during the fight, making it clear just how alarming the situation appeared from his perspective. For him, this is no longer about tactics, power, or technical ability, but about pure safety and the long-term risks that come with continuing after such a savage battle. His comments carry real urgency as he strongly dismisses the idea of a rematch, believing another war inside the ring could lead to permanent damage, which is why he openly suggests that stepping away from boxing completely may now be the smartest and safest decision.
Rematch, but I don't think he should fight. I genuinely don't think he should take that rematch. I think that's too dangerous. I genuinely think he took way too much punishment, and that was so severe. If I were him, I'd never fight again.
Plemons paints a deeply unsettling picture of what unfolded in the fight, describing moments where Fabio Wardley appeared completely detached from awareness, as if the chaos inside the ring had swallowed his sense of control. He breaks down the exchanges in stark detail, stressing how dangerous some of the shots were, even comparing their impact to punches that have previously dropped elite heavyweights like Anthony Joshua. While he still acknowledges Wardley's toughness and his ability to absorb punishment that would break most fighters, the overall tone shifts into something far more troubling. Beneath the analysis runs a clear undercurrent of concern, suggesting the fight crossed into territory where damage was no longer theoretical but dangerously real, edging uncomfortably close to what could have become a serious medical emergency if it had continued any further.
This got to a point where Fabio is stumbling around. He's not even aware of his surroundings, it doesn't look like. The doctors are checking on him round after round. And, I said Daniel had big stones to get off the canvas. Fabio Wardley's got a chin of iron because he ate some absolute nukes. Shots that put Anthony Joshua on the floor from Daniel Dubois and probably would have put a lesser man in the hospital that night. I'm sure Fabio's in the hospital now, but stretcher.
Johnny Nelson breaks the fight down with cold technical precision, revealing exactly where Fabio Wardley's control began to fracture in real time. Early rounds show flashes of order, jab working, movement sharp, structure intact, enough to suggest stability beneath the surface. But the moment that blueprint fails, everything turns abruptly. No alternate plan appears, no reset, just a slow unraveling as pressure builds. From round 6 onward, the collapse feels inevitable, like a system shutting down under fire. Nelson points to one brutal truth: Wardley didn't lose instantly, he ran out of answers. It's the kind of breakdown that exposes a fighter who starts with control, but disappears when the fight stops obeying him.
The first half of the fight, he kept his shape. You know, the jabs were working, dominant head to body. Kept slinging that big right hand over the top. Now and again, he would whip it up the middle. He had good feet for a big guy, good feet. And I thought, you look the part. But then there was no plan B that he could rely on if that didn't work. And you saw from round 6, he lost his shape. The shape had gone because there was no plan B. You know, when he get hit, it was like he completely turned. And trust me, this boy's got no coward in him.
David Haye focuses completely on the entertainment value and raw intensity of the fight, praising both warriors for delivering a true heavyweight war that felt relentless from the opening bell. He highlights the bravery, heart, and non-stop action that kept fans locked in from start to finish. Unlike some critics, he sees this as exactly what heavyweight boxing is meant to look like. In his eyes, it was not a breakdown, but a chaotic classic that delivered excitement and drama in every round.
I've never seen a heavyweight fight that captivating, that entertaining, round after round, backwards and forwards. The heart on these guys, the balls, the bravery. That's what you want to pay. That's what you want to. We hope every time we tune in for a heavyweight championship, you're getting that type of energy. They both gave everything they had. I could watch that 10 times over.
Daniel Dubois reflects on the mental side of the fight and how he had to battle through early nerves to seize back control. He admits he was not fully settled at the start, but under the pressure he began to piece himself back together. The mention of the corner slap moment shows how razor-sharp focus and intensity had to become in that instant. It reveals a fighter who had to descend into a dark mental place to survive, endure, and emerge victorious from chaos.
What a warrior he is, and came through that test. You know, coming off the back of a loss, I was a bit nervy to start off with and a bit all over the place, but I pulled it together and got the victory.
This is a massive, charged statement from Don Charles, and the pride in his voice cuts through everything this fighter has endured. The belief that his heart and mentality were once doubted has now violently flipped on its head. Becoming a 2-time heavyweight champion is not just skill but pure mental warfare, surviving chaos at the highest level where most break. That line about nobody questioning him again lands hard because boxing fans judge fast and forgive slow, almost never forgetting. Now he has forced everyone to respect him the hard way, through punishment, resilience, and survival. And when a trainer says there is more to come, it becomes even more dangerous for the division because this version is only just beginning and the heavyweight scene is officially on notice now here.
Nobody could ever question this young man again. Yeah? All that quitting nonsense, nobody will ever question him again.
2-time heavyweight champion of the world under you.
It sounds good, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds
great. There's more to come. We were in there with a very dangerous fighter in the name of Fabio Wardley. He should be proud of himself.
Buddy McGirt breaks this down in straight old-school boxing truth, with no decoration and no escape from reality. That first-round knockdown flips the entire fight on its head, turning it from a measured technical contest into a hunting expedition where patience disappears and urgency takes over. Once that shift happens, the boxing starts to evaporate piece by piece. The jab fades, the defense short-circuits, timing collapses, and everything narrows into a single dangerous obsession, loading up on one right hand. McGirt points directly at that tunnel vision, where the entire game plan gets swallowed by emotion and momentum. Yet even inside that breakdown, he still sees something fighters can't fake. Heart, survival instinct, refusal to fold. Skill-wise, it unravels under pressure, but spirit-wise it still holds weight and keeps the fight alive longer than it should have been. And when a veteran trainer like McGirt even entertains the idea of a rematch, it quietly suggests the story is not fully closed, and that unfinished business still lingers in the air, waiting for a second chapter that fans would not hesitate to watch unfold.
Hell of a fight. I think the worst thing that happened was that knockdown in the first round. After that, Wardley was just looking for that right hand. No jabs, no defense, no left hook. Sorry, meat and chicken. You know what I mean? But it was a hell of a fight. He showed the heart of a champion, and I think there should be a rematch.
This is a huge statement from Don Charles, and you can feel the pride in his voice after everything this fighter has endured. What people once doubted about his heart and mentality has now completely flipped on its head. Becoming a 2-time heavyweight champion is not just skill, it is mental warfare and survival through chaos. That line "nobody can question him again" hits hard because boxing fans judge fastest and forgive slowest. Now he has forced everyone to respect him the hard way. And when a trainer says there is more to come, it becomes even more dangerous for the division because this version is only getting started, and the heavyweight scene is on notice. And opponents are now fully aware of what is coming next in the division ahead.
Needed that slap just to wake up, stay in reality, it's not slip, I got to dig deep. And as a warrior, you have to dig deep because you've got to go to that dark place and come out.
Buddy McGirt breaks this down in pure old-school boxing truth, stripping everything back to what actually happened inside the chaos. The first-round knockdown doesn't just shift momentum, it snaps the entire rhythm of the fight, turning it into something far more primal, a hunting mission disguised as a boxing match rather than a technical exchange. From that point, every mistake compounds, and the moment a fighter starts chasing one punch, everything else vanishes into noise. The jab disappears, the defense collapses, and timing becomes a memory. That is exactly what he means when he talks about no jabs, no defense, just searching for the right hand like it's the only lifeline left. Yet even through the breakdown, McGirt sees something deeper beneath the errors. The heart refuses to switch off. The spirit keeps firing even when the skill set unravels. So while technically it falls apart, emotionally it still delivers a war worth watching. And when a veteran trainer even mentions a rematch, it signals unfinished business still hanging in the air, the kind of fight fans would not hesitate to see run back under the same brutal lights. Don Charles delivers a massive statement here, and the pride in his voice cuts through everything that came before it, especially after the fighter had been written off so many times. The belief that his heart and mentality were once in doubt has now been completely overturned, almost violently rewritten by what he has just achieved. Becoming a two-time heavyweight champion is not just about skill, it is about mental warfare, about surviving chaos when everything is breaking down around you at the highest level of the sport. That phrase "nobody can question him again" lands like a final warning because boxing fans judge fast, tear fighters down faster, and rarely ever rebuild them in their minds. Now he has forced that respect back the hard way, through pressure, pain, and persistence when it mattered most. And when a trainer like Charles says there is more to come, it does not sound like closure, it sounds like a threat to the division, because it means this version of the fighter is still evolving, still sharpening, and the heavyweight scene may not have seen the most dangerous chapter yet.